Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, and welcome back to the channel for an OB16 tier list. Yes, you heard that right, OB16. This is going to be a little bit predictive. I felt like doing an OB15 tier list at this point would be a bit pointless. I may as well try and take into account the changes that are being made in OB16. Not sure how I'm going to handle Giannis on this tier list. Maybe I just won't place him because we're not really going to know how strong he is. Based on PTS feedback, it seems like weak, but they might buff him. I'm not sure. I'm also doing something a little bit different with this tier list compared to previous ones. I've actually got all the aspects down here as well. So we've got like base Agni, aspect Agni, base Achilles, aspect Achilles. I'm going to be ranking them separately if need be. Sometimes the aspects in the base kit are about as viable as each other, but sometimes that is definitely not the case. Also, apologies for the weird like layout of the video, I guess. I'm trying to block all the ads on Tier Maker, basically. I've got ads all over my fucking screen, but I've cropped the image to not show ads in the video. So that's why it's a bit of weirdness going on with the tier list on the left and then this open space up here. As always, this tier list is based on mostly my own experience in demigod ranked as I've been climbing up this split. I do take into account like other opinions of top players I've seen from their Twitch chats, from tier lists and stuff like that, as well as, you know, ban rates, win rates and pick rates on Smite 2.live, basically a bunch of different stuff. But especially on my tier list, I like to lean a little bit more on my own personal experience, give my own personal take on what I think is good. It's something like a top 3 gods for every role video. I'll be a little bit more objective and take into account more data and stuff like that, but for this it's going to be largely based on my own opinion as I've been grinding up to demigod ranked, which I hit recently. And yeah, we're going to be ranking them from S to F, obviously S being the best gods in the game, F being just don't play it. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right in. Base Achilles is fine, I guess. I'll probably throw him to like B tier. Generally something you're going to be playing in solo lane. I think Achilles solo, like with a tanky build, is definitely viable right now. I think he's pretty decent, but there's not too much reason to pick Achilles over some of the other tanks that you could be playing in solo lane at the moment. You could argue for an A tier placement, I think. I do think Achilles is a little bit underrated, mainly because he's a very good user of regrowth striders. You know, anytime he has his 2 pops, he's permanently getting regrowth, which is very valuable. But yeah, I do think there are some better solo laners than him. Maybe he could move up to A as we progress throughout the tier list, but for now, I'll leave him in B. Aspect Achilles, I think I will also throw to B as a jungler. I do think jungle Achilles is pretty good right now. I've seen some top players in EU ranked doing very well with the Achilles jungle. Hydras obviously is a very strong item right now, and Achilles is one of the best Hydras abusers in the game in jungle. Yeah, definitely worth considering to play in my opinion. I would put regular Achilles probably slightly above aspect Achilles, but I don't know if I want to put it an entire tier above. We'll see as we progress through. Base Agni I will put to A tier though. Base Agni is one of the better mid laners in the game at the moment. He does a lot of damage. He's got insane level 5 kill potential, which can get you snowballing. He's got pretty solid early wave clear. He's got stuff like the dash. He's surprisingly safe because he can just dash away and stun you, and there's not much you can really do to follow that. Solid objective burn as well because of his dash, because of his 3 ultimates. Good sieging with the ultimates as well. Good jungle fights because he could ult over walls, stun multiple people for an engage. There's just a lot of different stuff that Agni does right now, and he's a very good pick. And aspect Agni I will probably put in the same tier. Slightly lower again, probably like slightly lower with Achilles. These picks obviously do different things. Aspect Agni is built much more of an ADC, usually with crit, and generally played more in the ADC role, but you do see aspect Agni in mid sometimes. You also see aspect Agni in jungle sometimes. Definitely a very strong pick as well. Absolutely shreds you down with the typical like standard auto attack build that will shred you down on basically any god, but then he also has solid ability damage because of those combustion stacks being consumed. Very strong pick as well. I would say base Agni is probably slightly better, but aspect Agni very good too. Aladdin straight to S, one of the best gods in the game right now, remains so in high level play. In lower level play, probably not as good. If you're not great at Aladdin, you're not going to perform as well on him. But if you do have a good handle on the character, he obviously just does stuff that no other god in the game can do. You just go a fast build on this guy to compensate for his early game a little bit. Make sure you're using your wish for power and wealth effectively, and you can get a really big lead early game and just snowball that into probably one of the best mid games in the entire game, and a solid late game as well on Aladdin. He just does stuff no one else can do. Damage is insane. Mobility is insane. The ultimate, obviously, game breaking. You can pick someone off with it. You can reset with it. You can do basically anything you want. You can farm the support with it. That's what a lot of Aladdin players do. The support step it up a little bit too much. You just lamp him, you kill him, and then you have a 5v4 for a while. Also can be played in mid. Generally a jungler, obviously, but can absolutely be played in mid. I've seen some Aladdins in solo as well. Can be played in multiple roles. Jungle is the main one, though. Base Amaterasu, I feel like should be better than she is right now, but really no one is playing it, and I haven't had much success on it myself. Honestly, I might have to throw it to, like, C, I think. This god should be good in theory. She's a regrowth user. She gets the double movement movement speed from, you know, pressing her 1 as well as getting her regrowth. She's a vital amplifier user. That item is really good right now. She should be good, man, but I really don't see anyone playing it, and I don't see anyone having success when they do play it. I just don't think this pick is very good, even though, like, in theory, you know, based on the item, she should be really good. I'm just really not seeing it. Aspect Amaterasu, I'll probably put in the same tier. She is getting a buff in OB16. She's getting a little bit more movement speed on her 1, I think, as well as lifesteal. She's getting, like, a base lifesteal added to her 1 when it's active in Aspect, which is certainly interesting. You know, you can get a little bit more, like, Sanguine Lash damage out because you have that lifesteal. Just having a bit of lifesteal in general is quite useful. And obviously, the on-hit Shredder build is really good right now with stuff like Obo, Bragi's Harp, tier thing, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I really do feel like both forms of armor should be better, but no one's playing it, and the people that do play it don't have much success on it, so I think I have to put it to C tier. Anhur is fine. I'll probably give Anhur, like, B, maybe. I guess we'll give base Anhur a C and aspect Anhur a B, because I do think aspect Anhur is definitely better. That attack speed is just kind of crazy, especially for early game. Late game, it's a little bit less crazy. Sometimes you can get a lot of value out of it in late game fights if you're able to just focus down and laser beam one target, but a lot of the times you're switching targets and poking and stuff. But in the early laning phase, this is really powerful. Just being able to get all that attack speed. If you outclear them and you can just, like, run at them, you get 100% free attack speed. It's very strong. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't say Anhur is one of the best ADCs in the game by any means. I'll leave him in B and C. Anubis, honestly, is pretty bad, dude. I think I'll throw Anubis to the D tier. I didn't mean to place Afro. Yeah, intelligence-based lifesteal is just kind of bad right now. That's, like, the main reason Gooby is so bad. Also, it's just Gooby. Like, you can really punish it super hard, especially if they pick it early in the draft in ranked or whatever, and you can counter pick and play around it. I really don't think Gooby's that strong. I've seen some people saying, oh, there's no anti-heal in the game. Anubis is fucking broken. I can't counter his lifesteal, but, like, his lifesteal isn't even that strong, in my opinion. You could just kind of, like, kill him through it. Unless he's got a big lead, obviously. If he's got a big lead and, like, 3 lifesteal items, maybe you'll have trouble then. But, yeah, I really don't think Anubis is that good at the moment. Afro, I think, is decent. Afro, I think I'll throw to the B tier. I think she is absolutely a decently viable support. Her mid is a little bit underrated as well. She can do a lot of damage from mid. But yeah, in support, like, you're not even necessarily relying on Afro putting out big healing numbers. You're just relying on the proc there from her 1 that got buffed in OB15 and also the ultimate cooldown that got buffed in OB15. You're just linking to a hyper carry. You're keeping them alive throughout the entire team fight. You're giving them extra procs so they can stay alive. Yeah, that's basically what Afro does. The healing is almost secondary on Afro at this point, especially after the anti-heal nerfs. Oh, I've just realized I have Aspect Apollo in here, but not base Apollo. Let me fix that a sec. There we go. Got both versions of Apollo now. So regular Apollo, I think, is very good right now. I'm throwing to the A tier. I think he's one of the better ADCs in the game. Just absolutely insane amount of damage. Very safe. The ultimate can be pretty disgusting for, like, either split pushing or just rotating into fights, bringing your team with you. See some people doing it in jungle as well. Also plenty viable in jungle, I think. You can definitely make this pick work. Aspect Apollo, I think, is a little bit less good. I'll probably throw Aspect Apollo to, like, C tier. You're not really doing too much with the Aspect Apollo, really. You can play it solo. You can build some health items. You can build, like, Leviathan side if you want to. It's a fun pick. I don't think it's very good. And then, like, support viability for it, not really there either, to be honest. But base Apollo, very good. Base Ares, one of the best gods in the game right now. Probably the best support in the game. This god is insane. This god is disgusting. Sanguine Lash is getting nerfed in OB16, but I still think this god is going to be incredible. He was really good even before they added Sanguine Lash and these new items that he's using. He's just an incredibly good god at the moment. Insane amount of free stats from the passive, makes him do way more damage than you'd think. He just gets a ton of free strength and int from that passive and a ton of free pros from the 2. Really good health regen that is getting nerfed in OB16, but I don't think that's going to be enough to bring him down. Also really good into a lot of meta picks at the moment. You know, if they don't have CC immunity on their ultimate, like Agni, for example, or if they are very reliant on movement to do their damage, like Aladdin, for example, there'll be other ones as we go through. Ares just does really well into a lot of the top picks in the meta at the moment, shutting down their mobility, and just, he does so much damage, man. Like, if an Ares gets ahead, he can solo anyone on the map, regardless of role. This god is just kind of insane right now. Aspect Ares is fine, but just way worse than regular Ares, so I'll put it in, like, the C tier. I'm not really sure how I should rank these, because, like, you know, on an absolute power level, Aspect Ares is probably, like, A or even S, just because, like, Ares as a god is kind of broken. But Aspect Ares is just a way worse version of regular Ares, so I don't see why you would ever pick this when regular Ares is available. So maybe I'll honestly throw it down to, like, D tier. Let me know in the comments down below, like, how would you rank this kind of stuff? Because, like, there's an argument to say that, like, you should never pick Aspect Ares and it's F tier, because why would you when base Ares exists? But then, like, on an absolute power level, if you picked Aspect Ares, it's not F tier, right? It's not that bad. I don't know, it's kind of a different philosophy on how you should place things. Maybe I'll just leave it in, like, C tier for now, I guess. Artemis, I think, is fine. I'll probably put Artemis on, like, a similar level to Anhur. She's a fine ADC, in my opinion. Aspects and regular, I think, are about the same. Aspect gives you a lot more early pressure, being able to clear the first jungle camp really quickly, get to lane quick, and also just have extra wave clear in general. But you do lose a bit of that lockdown, and late game, I think Aspect Artemis is a bit worse. Having that lockdown from the trap can be very valuable. So I think both of these, they do slightly different things, and they're both about the same power level. They're decent right now. Athena is pretty terrible, man. Athena is pretty terrible. Is she our first F tier? She might be. I don't really see any reason to pick Athena, man. Like, you have a taunt on like an 18-second cooldown or whatever it is at the moment, and that's like all your CC. Your ultimate can be useful. The global potential there is always going to be pretty powerful, but I really just don't see any reason to pick Athena over some better supports right now. She also doesn't really get in there the same way that some other aggressive supports can, like Ares, and really support right now is a meta of just get in there and just farm Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail damage and just beat people down. Athena doesn't really do that too well. Awilix is pretty bad. I'd probably give it like a D tier. She just doesn't do enough damage right now to be justified, in my opinion. Can be slightly better than D tier as a counter pick. Obviously, Awilix is very counter pick heavy. If you're playing into anything that relies on movement for damage, especially like Ephemeria Brutalize or whatever, you can cancel that with Feather Step, and that's really strong. Good into stuff like Vulcan, you know, when they meatball themselves, you can Feather Step over the meatballs. She's very like matchup dependent, Awilix. She can rise like a tier or two based on the enemy team comp, and obviously pulling jumps, obviously. And if you have knockups on your team and whatnot, so yeah, I think just in general, I will probably put Awilix in like D tier, but as a counter pick, she can be like C or B tier, in my opinion. I'll give that caveat. Bacchus is good, man. Bacchus is good. I think I'll probably throw Bacchus to like the A tier, regular Bacchus just in support. He's just very good at running people down. He does a lot of damage in his base kit, and then you have stuff like Mystical and Sanguine Lash being able to give you extra damage. Very good regrowth user, obviously. You just press your 1 and you absolutely zoom at people. It's basically impossible to get away from a Bacchus with regrowth. Decent engage as well with the flop, obviously. Bacchus is just good right now. Aspect Bacchus, I think, is also pretty good. I would say a little bit worse than regular Bacchus. This is generally something you'd be playing in like solo lane. And it can give you a lot of pressure in solo with that cleave auto attacks from the 1 bonus strength scaling on them as well. And I do think it's strong. Yeah, both forms of Bacchus very good right now, in my opinion. Princess Barry straight to S tier. This god is still absolutely broken, dude. It's a similar situation to Aladdin. Like, she just fundamentally has a very broken kit. Free stats are always insane. We talked about this with Ares, and Barry gets a ton of free stats from her passive when it activates, which is just really good for winning trades. Free abilities also is obviously very good. Her ultimate can absolutely swing an entire team fight if they like land their engage and you save people for a couple of crucial seconds with a burial. It can absolutely turn the tides of a fight. Very strong wave clear, very strong pressure, playable mid with an intelligence build, playable ADC with a more strength based build. Yeah, playable in both roles, very good in both roles. She's insane right now. Baron, I think is a bit underrated at the moment. Baron, I think I would throw to the A tier, probably both regular and Aspect, to be honest. Aspect is generally something you're playing more in mid or solo lane. Regular is something you're playing more in support. And yeah, I think Baron's really good right now. His healing is strong. He's one of the best regrowth users in the game. You just pop your 2 and you get so much movement speed that no one's ever going to be able to chase or escape you, pretty much. Can be very hard to lock down, just pressing the 2 on yourself for cell peel, 3ing and then running away. Your ultimate gives you like 50% damage mitigation, which could be really good. It's kind of hard to dive a Baron, because if you commit really hard to a Baron and you just press his ult, it's going to take you a long time to kill him, and then you can get collapsed on. Yeah, I do think Baron is pretty underrated right now. I think he's probably a lower end of A tier. I don't think Baron's like broken or anything, but he's definitely really strong. Very good regrowth user. And I would say viable and pretty strong in solo, mid, and support. Aspects for mid and solo, non-aspect for support. Bellona, overrated in my opinion. Honestly, overrated in my opinion. I would maybe give her like a low A tier placement for both aspect and non-aspect. It doesn't really change much if you're going aspect or not. You can do either depending on how you like to play. The aspect just lets you share healing and block stacks with your allies at the cost of bludgeon damage. I think both, they're basically the same. Yeah, I'll give it a low A tier placement just because like a lot of people say this pick is really strong and maybe I'm missing something, but genuinely I've gone up against so many Bellonas in solo lane that I've just completely bodied out and they've done nothing. I don't know if that's just like matchup diff or whatever. I really haven't seen Bellonas do like anything in my games, to be completely honest. If it was purely my own opinion and nothing else, I'd probably put her in B tier, to be completely honest, but I have seen a lot of other good players saying she's strong, so I will drop her in A tier for now. Cab is good. I don't really see many people playing Cab. That's the issue. I haven't had much experience playing with or against this. I do think he's quite good, though. I'll probably throw him, like, lower end of A tier. Cab is good. He's very tanky, obviously. He's very hard to kill, which means he can just get in your face with Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail from either support or solo and just kind of run at you. Insanely tanky. No DR stuns. The ultimate can be very deadly. It can force people into shells. If you have, like, a combo with an Odin, it can be insane because they can't really shell all of that stuff. Yeah, Cab is definitely very good right now. One of the tankiest picks you can go for, and being tanky right now is very valuable because you can just sit on people with Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail and let them do the work. Cerberus is fine. I'll probably throw Cerberus like B for both. Oh god, dude, did I just delete the whole tier list? Hopefully not. Okay, no, we're fine. Accidentally hit my back button on my mouse. I thought I deleted the whole tier list, dude. Yeah, Cerberus, regular and aspect are about the same in my opinion. They're just a little bit of a trade-off. The aspect gives you a little bit more sticking power, being able to just 2 people over and over if they can't interrupt it. And the non-aspect is generally better for like support and engaging. Aspect better for solo generally. I think both are fine. I wouldn't say Cerberus is like anything insane right now though. Obviously a decent counter pick if they've got like a lot of healing on their team. Yeah, I think he's fine. I wouldn't say Cerberus is anything crazy though. Cernunnos probably be as well. Vital Amplifier very good on this. We saw a little bit of that emerging like at the start of OB15. I've seen a lot less of it lately. I think people have realized it's just okay and not amazing. But yeah, I have seen people have success with the Cernunnos building stuff like Vital Amplifier. Aspect Cernunnos is still pretty terrible though. I'll throw it to like D. I think maybe it's not quite F tier. I've seen a couple of people kind of making this work a little bit since the changes. But yeah, overall not that great. Chak. Chak goes to A tier probably for both, honestly. I think Aspect Chak is a little bit better than base Chak, but yeah, I think both probably go to A tier. This is a very good solo lane pick at the moment. You can go Aspect and go a little bit more of a damage heavy build and you do a ton of damage that way and you've got anti-heal on the rain, or you can go non-aspect Chak and you can abuse stuff like regrowth, maybe even a Vital Amplifier, but I don't think I've seen people building that. It's mainly just so you can proc regrowth and absolutely run at people or absolutely run away from people. Yeah, Chak is very good in both forms right now, in my opinion. Cupid. Cupid doesn't really do much, man. I think I'll throw regular Cupid to like C as an ADC and aspect Cupid to like D. Obviously, support Cupid is not viable, but I think maybe you could make an argument for going like aspect Cupid in ADC if you want a little bit more like a utility, I guess. But yeah, honestly, I think both versions of Cupid are pretty bad right now. It's definitely better ADCs you could be picking. Dancer is similar, to be honest. I think regular Dancer and aspect Dancer are probably in the same tier, but yeah, as an ADC, he's fine right now. You can, I guess, do split push shenanigans if you want to. That stuff did get nerfed though, and is getting nerfed in OB16 as well. Titans are starting to take proper reduced damage from stuff like Sunbeam Bow where they weren't before. Yeah, you can do cheese strats, but I think overall, like, Dancer ADC is not amazing at the moment. Fen is good, man. Fen is good. Is Fen worthy of A tier? I would say probably yes. I've seen people having good success with the Fen. I think I'll put the aspect like 1 tier below. I don't think the aspect is really worth going. But yeah, I've seen people have good success with Fen with like a bruiser auto attack style build. You can build Devos on him and go like full damage auto attack, or you can go for like more of a Sanguine Lash Mystical Mail style build. This is mainly from jungle. I think maybe you could make him work in solo and support, but mainly jungle is where I'm considering for these Fen replacements. Okay, there we go. Regular Ganesha, I would say, is probably like A tier as a support. Probably on the lower end of A tier, but Ganesha can absolutely be devastating from the support role. That silence is disgusting. You can CC chain really nasty on this god. Great way of locking down tanks, surprisingly, because some of the tanks in the meta right now, they've got regrowth. They're absolutely zooming around. If you can actually lock them down with Ganesha by like ulting and then silencing them, you can actually burst them down before they can get a lot of value out of like their sustain items from like Sanguine Lash and regrowth and stuff like that. Yeah, just in general, a really good support at the moment. Aspect Ganesha probably puts like B tier. I think it's playable as like a jungle or solo pick. Maybe you could go in mid, but he doesn't really have the range, in my opinion, to be viable as a mid. He doesn't poke very well. He's kind of all in. Better to play him more like an assassin from solo or jungle, in my opinion, but it's definitely viable. Geb is mid, honestly. I guess he's kind of fine. I'll throw him like B tier. I think he's an okay support. I wouldn't really pick him all too much though. Then again, I would definitely pick Afro and Cerberus before I would pick Ganesh. Before I would pick Geb, sorry. So maybe he goes down to C tier, and then Aspect Geb is just F tier, man. This don't pick Aspect on Geb. You do not get enough value for losing that knock-up that allows you to CC chain really disgustingly with your ultimate. I wouldn't ever pick Aspect Geb, to be honest. Okay, Guan Yu. Base Guan Yu, I'll probably put to B. Aspect Guan, I'll probably put to A. I think Aspect Guan support is genuinely very viable right now. I think it's absolutely worth playing. Probably lower end of A tier. But yeah, the healing that you can put out is kind of insane. Obviously, there's no anti-heal to counter it anymore. The healing is less than it would have been on a previous patch without anti-heal considered, obviously, but it still can be really strong. That extra tick heal that you get with the aspect can be really, really good. Bit of a slow early game, but once you can get this pick online, you can get some of the healing items and stuff like that. I think it can be really strong. You got to play around it a little bit. You know, late game, you got to play a little bit different. If you have a Guan, you play a little bit more pokey, kind of like fake out, go in, and then heal back up and just poke people out until they can't fight you anymore. And then you go in for like a siege, or you go in for taking fire or whatever. You got to play a little different with Aspect Guan in support, but I do think it's very good right now. Hades is pretty terrible, honestly. I'm going to throw Hades to like C tier. I really don't see much reason to play Hades. I've played this matchup a few times on my way up to Demigod against some really good players, and I just don't think it's very good. His early game is just kind of not it, man. Like, the first 5 to 9 levels before you start getting your 3 maxed out, like, he doesn't really clear the wave even that well. And it just ends up putting you behind, and Hades from behind is going to do nothing. He's going to try and get in there. He's going to get blown up instantly. I really just don't feel like Hades is worth playing at the moment in solo. Regular Hecate, I think, is fine right now. I'll probably throw a B. Probably upper end of B, to be honest. I think if you can play this pick well, it can absolutely do work. It's not super popular at the moment, but, you know, she still does a lot of work, honestly, in my opinion. That 2 can absolutely nuke. Her poke is decent with the 1. She has a bit of a weak early game, but once you can get out of that, like, the ultimate, obviously one of the most powerful ultimates in the game, can absolutely decimate a team fight. Yeah, not many people play this pick, but I think it's absolutely viable in mid. There's better picks, but it's fine. Aspect Hecate, I'll throw to F. Don't play this really in Conquest. It's absolutely terrible. Hercules, though. Hercules goes straight to S. Probably, I guess, Aspect goes to S as well. I do think the Aspect is just worse than regular Hercules, though. Again, it's like, it's that argument of, like, why do I guess I'll place them absolutely. That probably makes more sense. I made this argument with Ares, like, earlier in the tier list, if any of you skipped forward or whatever. Yeah, basically, like, there's no reason to ever pick Aspect Ares because it's just way worse than base Ares. But, like, if you picked Aspect Ares, where would it be on the tier list? It will probably be, like, A tier, to be honest. And I guess I'll do the same for Hercules. Because no matter the way you play Hercules right now, he is insanely strong. But I guess I'll put these 2 a tier higher because they are just so much better than going the Aspect version, in my opinion. Yeah, Herc is just busted right now. A very good Sanguine Lash user. He can stick to people, has great sustain, and obviously insane regrowth user. One of the best regrowth users in the game. You just press your 3 and you run at people, and no one can really escape you on Herc with regrowth. The best solo laner in the game, in my opinion. You can play Aspect if you want, but I don't see any reason to. You should just go base Hercules. Also viable in support, I think. Definitely viable in support. You would rather play this in solo, but definitely fine in support as well. Hou Yi. Okay, base Hou Yi probably A. Aspect Hou Yi instant S, man. Aspect Hou Yi is fucking silly. I don't know why more people don't play it. I was talking with Snoddy on stream, not on my stream, but we rated him afterwards, and I was checking him out. He's one of the best ADCs in EU, and he's saying Aspect Hou Yi is broken, and I completely agree, dude. Aspect Hou Yi is absolutely silly right now. So much free wave clear because your ricochets just give you like extra, basically like built-in Odibo, just clearing the wave for you. It also just pings the enemy god as you're clearing the wave, and you get a ton of free poke. You can hit people from ranges you won't be able to hit people with otherwise with Aspect Hou Yi as well. Aspect Hou Yi is probably the best ADC in the game right now. Regular Hou Yi is totally fine as well, though. Regular Hou Yi is also good. Batz is good. Probably regular and Aspect both go in the same tier. I think they just have different trade-offs. You sacrifice a little bit of damage to get that stun. It's honestly kind of matchup dependent as well. You know, if that stun is going to be interrupting some kind of channeled ability regularly, Aspect Batz is the way to go. If not, you can probably go regular Batz. Aspect Batz sees a bit more play, I think, but generally I think both of these are totally fine. Both are very good junglers at the moment. Izanami, I would say probably just don't play it, probably D tier. I don't see much of a reason to play Izanami over like any of the other good ADCs at the moment. Giannis, I probably just won't place for this tier list. Giannis, I'll just throw down at the bottom. We don't know how strong he's going to be on the patch, so I'll probably wait until next patch to place Giannis. Jing Wei. Jing is an interesting one. So Jing, I think, was a little underrated before, and she is getting giga buffed on this patch. I feel like Jing Wei is actually going to be really good now. I don't even think she was that bad on the previous patch. Like, a lot of people saying she's like one of the worst gods in the game or whatever. I do think Jing had some potential on the previous patch, and she's getting a lot of buffs on this patch. Her dash is getting a massive reduced cooldown. Her 2 is getting a reduced cooldown as well, and I think her ultimate is getting more damage. I would say at the very least B tier on the level of like Artemis and Anhur, but honestly, I could argue for an A tier, to be honest. It's a little bit predictive. I think I will throw it to A, though. I do think Jing is going to be a bit of a monster on the next patch. Kali, probably A for non-aspect. Aspect, I would argue for S, but maybe I'll throw it to A. Obviously, Aspect Kali is more of an ADC pick. You will play Aspect Kali in ADC, which I think is really, really strong. I think Aspect Kali is probably better than regular Kali at the moment, but regular Kali jungle could also be really strong. The on-hit Shredder build is good right now, and she just absolutely deletes people. Yeah, both are really good right now. This for ADC, this for jungle. Khepri is, like, fine, I guess. Is he as good as Cerberus? Honestly, probably not. I might have to throw Khepri to C tier, dude, both for Aspect and regular. You generally want to go Aspect with Khepri, but you can go regular if you want. I'd say Kepri's probably better than Geb, though, right? Yeah, maybe I'll throw him up to B. Probably like a low end of B tier for both versions of Khepri. He can do stuff. He has decent early lane pressure in duo, just because of his 2, and then obviously the ultimate can be really powerful in team fights. Yeah, I don't think Kepri's great right now, but he's playable. I'll throw him to B. Cuckoo is like probably B as well. Cuckoo's like kind of fine. You get a lot of free wave clear in mid. You can play this in solo if you want to. Surprisingly safe with the dash. You know, you can just 3 and dash away, and you're very mobile in that regard. I think Cuckoo is fine, but nothing crazy. Loki, I think is quite good right now. Loki, I'd probably throw to the A tier, lower end of A tier for sure. I don't think he's quite as good as something like a Batz or a Kali in jungle. But I do think Loki is a bit underrated right now. This guy does so much damage, and that vanish reset can allow you to just like snowball through a fight. Just make sure you're cancelling your 3 in the late game for Hydra's procs. Don't let the 3's full duration ride out most of the time. Just go in and cancel it for another auto, and you're gonna absolutely delete people on this pick. Aspect Loki, don't play it, obviously. I had an Aspect Loki support in one of my games a couple of days ago, and he absolutely fed his brains out. Don't do that, please. It's terrible. Medusa, she is getting buffs next patch. I don't think she's gonna be that great, though. She was probably like D or F tier before. Maybe I'll give her like C tier. I don't think her buffs are gonna be as impactful as Jingwei's, and I also think Jingwei was already better than Medusa on the previous patch. Merlin is great. I'd probably throw regular Merlin to A, Aspect Merlin to B. I do think you're better off going regular Merlin. Just that consistency and knowing what you're going to get and what you can do is better. But yeah, Merlin is great right now. Really good at just like throwing out abilities. Really good poke. A little bit of a slow early game, but once you can get out of that early game, Merlin could do a ton of work. Mordred is good. I would throw Mordred to A, both a regular and Aspect. I personally think Aspect is the better way to go with Mordred, but I have also seen some very good solo leaders saying that regular Mordred is better. Feels like you can kind of pick and choose with Aspect or regular for Mordred. Obviously, just losing that protection shred versus getting the CDR on the Aspect. I think the CDR is more valuable personally. But yeah, you can go either one. I think Mordred is very good in solo lane right now. Speaking of very good in solo lane, Mulan, best solo laner in the game. Just kidding, she's terrible. Probably throw her down to F tier. I don't think there's much reason to ever pick Mulan. Her early game laning phase, like super early game before you get ranks up on your abilities from the training is just terrible. And late game, she's also terrible because her animation times just take way too long to get out. By the time you've cast your entire Mulan kit, you're just dead a lot of the time. Yeah, there's not really much reason to pick her, even though she is a decent regrowth user. You know, you can press the 2 and kind of like run people down. Even then, I don't think there's much reason to ever pick Mulan over a different solo laner. Regular Neith is great right now. I'd probably throw regular Neith to A tier. She's probably on the upper end of A tier. I think this pick is really good from mid at the moment. You can play it at ADC as well, but I wouldn't really recommend it because tanks are really strong right now, and you kind of want a traditional auto attack ADC to be able to shred down those tanks. So if you go this in ADC, you might want to have that somewhere else, like an Apollo jungle or an Aspect Agni mid or something. But yeah, full ability-based intelligence Neith from mid lane hits really hard. Hits as hard as any other mage. You've got that global presence from the ultimate as well. It's really strong. Aspect Neith, I'd probably throw like C. I don't really see much of a reason to pick Aspect Neith over a traditional auto-attacking ADC. It's fine. You could make it work, but I would definitely rather play something like an Artemis or an Anhur or a Cernunnos than Aspect Neith in ADC. Nemesis, probably S tier for both. I think Nemesis is absolutely insane right now. You can play her Aspect or non-Aspect. I think Aspect is better, personally. Having that extra, like, 50% of her health bar is just really good. You can play his pick from solo as well, especially Aspect Nem from solo is basically impossible to interact with in the laning phase. You can just kind of, like, sit there and farm and no one can ever really kill you. Yeah, mainly a jungler, but also viable in solo, especially with the Aspect. Nemesis is insane right now, one of the best gods in the game. Regular Nuwa, probably F tier. Aspect Nuwa, I'd give, like, D, maybe. Both of these are pretty bad, honestly, at the moment. There's just nothing that it really brings to the table, to be honest. She's going to get out pressured by other ADCs, and yes, you can crit people with the ultimate, but it's whatever, and then base new wire is just kind of terrible. Odin is great right now. Is Odin S tier or A tier? That's the question. I think I'd probably throw him to A. I don't think he's quite as good as some of the absolutely broken picks up here, like Ares, Aladdin, Herc, Aspect Hou Yi, Nemesis. But I would definitely throw Odin on the upper end of A tier. Mainly a jungler right now. You can make him work in solo lane as well if you want to, but I think you're much better playing this pick from jungle. You can build like a more damage heavy build with stuff like Hydras and Pendulum Blade, or you can go like a more bruisery or like full tank build. I like to go full tank from the Odin jungle, but you can also adjust your build based on what your team comp is. You know, if you've got a full tank in solo and a full tank in support, you might want to go a bit more damage in your Odin jungle. Whereas if you've got like a mage solo or something like that, you might want to go more of a tanky build for some frontline. Either way, I think this pick is really good right now. Obviously, the full anti-heal is super valuable in this meta as well. If you are struggling with stuff like Guan Yu healing or whatever. Good into Herc, obviously, as well. You know, if they don't take shells, you can just kind of like ring off a Herc and he's not going to have that sustain. And just in general, like a lot of people can't get out of your cage in the current meta. You know, Nemesis can't, Herc can't, Ares can't, Barry can't. Pele, probably S tier for regular and A tier for aspect. I think aspect Pele solo is a little bit underrated. I think it's pretty good. I'll probably throw it on the lower end of A tier personally. I don't think it's as good as something like a Chak or a Bellona, but it's fine. You can definitely make it work. She's a good regrowth user as well. Regular Pele is just insane from the jungle. Probably the best jungler in the game. It's close between Aladdin and Nemesis and Pele, though. They're all incredible. Poseidon is not great, honestly. I don't really see anything of aspect Poseidon, so it's probably worse. I would say like regular Poseidon is like maybe B tier at best, and then aspect Poseidon I probably throw to like C. I don't think there's much reason to play either version of Poseidon right now, to be honest. Regular Ra, I'd probably throw at least B. Probably not worthy of an A tier, but Ra can be absolutely incredible, especially when you get to that hyper late game with your Nimble Ring and your two can just like do 2,000 damage in one cast is kind of insane. Yeah, Ra can absolutely do work. Aspect Ra, I'd probably throw like D though at best. Honestly, you could argue F tier. I don't think there's much reason to play Aspect Ra. Ra support is a meme. I don't care how many people will say it's good. There's plenty of very high level EU supports to try and play this pick, and I see them feed on it every single time. Ra support is terrible, and Aspect Ra solo, I don't really see much of a reason to play that over something that's just better. Rama is terrible in both forms. I'll probably put regular Rama in D and Aspect Rama in F. This just brings nothing that you would not get from a better ADC that's going to do a lot more work than Rama. Regular Scylla, I will probably throw to A, probably like lower end of A, but I think Scylla is a very good mid laner right now. Does absolutely crazy damage, obviously, once you can get out of that early game. The early game is pretty weak. You're going to be fairly passive until you get like sort of around your max rank of Crush, where you can start like clearing really effectively and doing good damage. But yeah, late game Scylla with the poly, her one poly 2 just absolutely kills people. There's not much you can do about it if she hits that. She's very strong right now. Aspect Scylla, I'll probably throw a B. I think Aspect Scylla is genuinely viable. I've seen a couple of people kind of make it work. You can go like a little bit more of a tanky build with like a breastplate and a Genji's in there. It's definitely worse than regular Scylla, but I think it's viable, probably like a B. Sobek is good right now. I'd probably put Sobek in the A tier. One of the better supports you could play. Very good at just getting aggressive with a Mystical Mail Sanguine Lash and just kind of running at people. Has anti-heal built into his kit, which is nice. And obviously Pluck is still deadly. You know, you hit by Pluck without bees, you're probably dying in the late game as well. Aspect Sobek, don't play it. It's just terrible. I guess maybe it's like D. It's probably better than some of the picks down here. Actually, is it? No, it's probably not. I'll throw it F. There's no real reason to play Aspect Sobek, dude. It's just a way worse version of regular Sobek. Sol, regular Sol, there was a little bit of a stint of like Sol being pretty popular in ADC at the start of the patch. It's kind of fallen off though. People are just trying out Vital Amplifier and they found out that like Vital Amplifier is good, but it's not good enough to be justifying running a pick like Sol. I do think it's fine. Is it as good as like Artemis, Anhur, Cernunnos? Probably not, honestly. It probably deserves C tier, I think. On a similar level to stuff like Cupid, Medusa, Aspect, Neath. Aspect Sol, I also don't see many people using that much. I think it's just better, like, mid-lane intelligence burst mages that you could be playing. I'd probably throw that C as well. Wukong. Now, here's a pick. Wukong's pretty good right now. Honestly, similar to Bellona, I think Wukong's overrated at the moment. A lot of people saying Wukong is, like, insane. I don't think he's that good. I've really not seen any Wukongs do, like, all too much. And honestly, I think he's probably better as, like, a mid-laner with full intelligence, if anything. I've seen a lot of people doing that in mid and doing pretty well with it. I'd probably put like both forms in A tier, I guess. Like I do think he's a pretty decent solo and probably on the lower end of A tier though. Like it's definitely nothing compared to like a Hercules and probably not as good as like a Chak. Might even be worse than Mordred, to be honest. Yeah, probably lower end of A tier. And then the aspect is generally something you could be playing as like mid lane intelligence Wukong with the cooldown reduction on your 1 and 2. And I do think that's actually a better version of playing Wukong. Not better by like an entire tier or anything like that, but I do think that's probably the best way to use Wukong at the moment as opposed to solo laner. Susanoo is very good right now. I would definitely throw him to A. I don't think he's worthy of S, but Susanoo is great right now. A little bit underrated in my opinion, but sleeper. This guy just does so much damage, has crazy mobility. AoE CCs out the wazoo as well. Can have a lot of impact. Thanatos, regular Thana's like D, man. I don't see any reason to play regular Thana. I tried this and it's just fucking terrible, dude. Your cooldowns are so long in the early game that you can't even clear your camps very effectively. You're very vulnerable to just getting invaded by jugglers that come online faster. And then late game, you honestly don't do all that much either. Aspect Thana is probably a little better. I'd probably throw Aspect Thana like C. Just because you can build a bit more of a bruiser build. You can just build stuff like Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail and just stack health and be a bit more of a bruiser jungler, which I think is a bit better. I still don't think it's great though. I wouldn't pick it over a lot of other stuff. Morrigan is great, regular and Aspect. Aspect is better in my opinion if you're good with Morrigan. But yeah, both versions are very good. They can do some absolute bullshit. Thor, I would say regular Thor probably like B, Aspect Thor A. I think regular Thor is like playable passable, but not great. Aspect Thor is pretty good, though. Currently, his passive doesn't proc regrowth, but I think in OB16 that is going to get fixed. They did mention something about, like, fixing all of the aspect healing abilities that weren't proccing healing items. So if that does get fixed, he might be insane. He might genuinely go to S tier, because permanently proccing regrowth just via your passive on Aspect Thor is going to be kind of crazy. But that's a little bit predictive. I think for right now, I'll just leave it in A tier. This is good in solo. This is also good in jungle. Most people that are playing jungle Thor are playing Aspect. Even if you go full damage, it's just kind of better. Ula is great right now. Is Ula worthy of S tier? That's the question. I would say probably not quite, but definitely on the upper end of A tier for Ula. Very close to verging on S, in my opinion. I don't think it's like quite as good as like Hou Yi or Barry, for example. But yeah, Ula is incredible right now. Damage output is absolutely ridiculous. Farms Heartseeker procs like no one's business, and the item's kind of broken right now. Bit of a slowish, like super early game. You're not gonna really do much for like the first, 9 levels or so. But once you kind of get out of there, like once you get some points in your abilities, Ula absolutely deletes people. Vulcan, regular Vulcan, probably A tier. I think one of the better mid laners at the moment, honestly. When you can use him, he just does absurd amounts of damage. Very good objective secure, very good sieging, because your ultimate can just either kill people or zone them off. Beat ball into one combo, does like 80% on backliners in the late game. Gets a lot of pressure in mid via the turrets. He's just good. Aspect Vulcan, I'll probably throw like B. I think it's viable in solo lane. You can definitely make this work. You have a ton of free health regen from the Aspect passive. It wins lane in basically every single matchup known to man, but I think late game you don't really do that much with this pick. That's the main issue with it. Yamoja, I'll throw A. Yamoja is very good, as always, basically. If you can play this pick, it's pretty much always going to be good in the support role. Just does stuff that no other pick can do, really. Kind of breaks the game. Very good early pressure. You can go Sunder and just look for invades and be aggressive with this pick. You can also play it a bit more defensive and PL oriented. Just very strong. Aspect Yamoja, I think is terrible, though. I don't see anyone play this, and I'm pretty sure it's just god-awful. I'll throw it like D. I think it's probably better than the stuff down here, but not by that much, honestly. Ymir is good. I'd probably throw him like B, though. I don't think he's quite on the level of some of the support picks that are in the A tier at the moment, but Ymir is good. Ymir is playable. He's good at running at people with the aggressive support items right now. And finally, Zeus, I'll throw like B. Zeus is getting some buffs in the next patch, but it's more of like a shift than a buff, I would say. But yeah, that is my tier list. The tiers aren't ordered, but obviously as I've gone through, I've discussed kind of like where I think I would place things, whether they're high in the tier or low in the tier. You got your best gods in the game up here. You've got Aladdin, Nemesis, and Pele as your junglers mainly. You've got Ares as your main support up here. You've got Hou Yi and Barry as ADC. Barry also in mid. And then Hercules as your main solo laner that is the best in the game right now. F tier, just don't pick any of these gods. They are absolutely terrible. You will have a bad time. And then everything in between, obviously. Let me know your thoughts down below. Obviously, with this tier list, they're a little bit more like my personal opinion, how I've experienced things as I've climbed up the rank ladder. Maybe I'll put out a top 3 gods for every role video when the meta for OB16 is a little bit more settled. But I've had a lot of requests to do a full tier list and go in depth on my thoughts on the meta right now, because obviously a lot changed with OB15's healing overhaul and new items and stuff. Also, let me know your thoughts on the idea of doing aspect and non-aspect, or should I just place the god just as they are? Let me know down below, and I will catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.